A new bombshell announcement in the agricultural industry dropped in July, and we're here to tell you what it means in the simplest terms we can manage. Who benefits from this new deal? Who is the new RIC team that's helping put this together? Just what is the RIC anyway? When does the loan expansion go into effect? And what is the long-term goal here? You'll find out all the answers as we go, so stick around. First off, let's establish what RIC means and what these people do. Well, the initials stand for the Regional Investment Corporation. They are a recent additional branch of the Australian government, created with the goal of supporting small agricultural businesses through monetary loans. It was established through the lobbying of David Littleproud a few years before he took over the National Party on February 6, 2018. This was, of course, following a lengthy political deadlock that had gone on for months prior, as is standard procedure in politics around the world. The corporate headquarters of the Regional Investment Corporation are situated in Orange, New South Wales, which is believed to be motivated by them trying to regain favor in the region after losing power over there back in 2016. Other cities there were in consideration, including Albury Wodonga, Bathurst, Bendigo, Lithgow, Toowoomba, and Wagga Wagga, among presumably other less fictional-sounding cities. The Labour Party of the time argued that these cities did not get the proper chance to compete for the chance at being the new HQ location. Can we please have some justice for Wagga Wagga? Excuse me. Back to serious talk. In the 4 years since the inception of this new government branch, the RIC has approved just under 3,000 loans total for farmers and farm-related small businesses, which is overall valued at over $3.09 billion. Now that might seem like a whole lot of money over such a short period of time, but keep in mind that this time frame coincides with the pandemic-driven global shutdowns. You may remember it made a few of the smaller papers at the time, during which a larger number of small businesses were abruptly thrown into the greatest financial turmoil of any of our lifetimes. So yeah, it seems like the RIC was founded at a very good time. Earlier this year, the RIC announced a new leadership team that would be heading these efforts going forward. So how's about we meet the crew? Alright, so who does this new RIC team consist of? There are 3 key executives to talk about here. First, there's the man who announced the deal we're talking about here today, one Paul Dowler. According to our sources, his credentials include, 32 years in academia? I mean, no disrespect intended here. Some of us take longer to graduate from college than others, and there's no shame in that. But I don't know that I'd put that on my resume like that. No, wait. I get it now. That's the amount of time he spent working with universities, such as the 9 years he spent as the Chief Financial Officer of the Charles Sturt University. His new role in the RIC is as the Executive Director of Corporate Services, where his unit presides over the corporation's finances, IT, and human resources. That is a lot of responsibilities. My goodness. Next, we have Ali Gartrell, the Executive Director of Program Execution. She had spent 4 years as the Program Administration Manager at the RAA, that is, the NSW Rural Assistance Authority, where she managed their loan and grant portfolio. She'd also spent around a decade in the banking sector of Sydney, ANZ, and in the Midwest. That's a solid bit of credibility for her, and valuable experience heading into her new job, where she'll be overseeing the granting of loans for the RIC. Lastly, we have Chris Rollins, being appointed the Executive Director of Transformation and Engagement. That kind of makes him sound like he's the new leader of the Autobots, but sadly the truth is a little less cool than that. And as for his job responsibilities, okay, wow. I thought Dowler had a lot on his plate, but get a load of this. Rollins will be presiding over CIN's communications, digital content, and business development, in addition to dictating their policies. And on top of all of that, he will also be in charge of programming to digitize their loans and meet the demands for said aforementioned loans. Wow, notice how sleep isn't in there among his job responsibilities. As you'd expect with someone being trusted with so much, he also has a lengthy resume to say the least, including being the marketing director for HCF and the executive director general of strategy and technology for Live Better, just to name a few. By the way, on the topic of that whole Take Back Orange thing, all 3 of these just so happened to be Orange locals at the time of being appointed for the RIC. But regardless, they all seem well qualified for their positions. So what's the deal on this low-interest loan expansion? Right, the title of this video. Yes, that's right. Well, the announcement made at the start of July was that Regional Investment Corporation loans will now be available for horse breeders, turf farmers, tea tree, lavender, pharmaceutical or cosmetic plant growers, nursery and floricultural growers. Yes, finally, justice for floriculture. That would of course be the growing of flowers. Always lovely. This is of course in addition to many sectors that already had access to this. Those who were a part of the aforementioned $3 billion-ish worth of loans previously. Remember that? All of those sectors that were eligible in the past will now naturally continue to be eligible going forward. While announcing this new loan expansion, Paul Dowler stated, quote, "This new new foreign business definition recognizes the diversity of Australian agriculture and is our response to industry need and emerging markets." End quote. Finally, an answer to the long-standing demand of proper diversity and representation in the agricultural field. Next up, when does it go into effect and what's the goal of the expansion? With how slow these political dealings can tend to be, you'd be forgiven for assuming that it would take some time after this announcement for it to actually be a thing. However, with no word mentioned of a set start date of any kind, it would actually seem that these loans are available to be applied for effective immediately. But now, by all means, if you try it out only to be told that it's not a real thing until after a certain point in the future, please do let us know. As a matter of fact, go ahead and roast us for it in the comments. We encourage it greatly, and that engagement is the lifeblood for channels like us. Sorry, shouldn't be giving the game away like that. Anyway, as for the goal, well, I'm sure Paul's comment about diversity of agriculture and responding to emerging markets holds a lot of water, but the main intent for sure is getting to the lofty target value of the sector as whole. For Mr. Paul Dowler also stated in a release, quote, "The broadened eligibility also supports the sector's targets to become a $100 billion industry by 2030, end quote. Well, if the goal is to get there through loans alone, we're about 3% of the way there. Wow, never thought it was possible to make $3 billion sound like it's not that much money, but here we are. Well, that all sounds pretty good, but where's the catch? Oh, none. Nada. Zero. There's no catch at all. Well, no, I take that back. It's more accurate to say that there's no catch that wasn't already applicable before. You see, new applicants still need to meet all of the usual mandatory eligibility criteria to apply for a RIC loan in the first place. That, of course, includes demonstrating that they are in financial need in the first place, as you'd probably expect. But unlike a grant, struggling farm businesses also need to be able to promise security for the investment and demonstrate their ability to repay the loan. This, of course, is not a charity, and they don't intend to give money away for nothing. It's simply a means of jump-starting this particular area of the economy and ensuring that it'll be able to pump money back into the country for years and years to come. So if they're not in position to make that money back and repay it, it can happen, of course, and you may be asking yourself, how is a struggling business that's gotten into debt going to be able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they'll be capable of making that money back later? Well, that is a fantastic question, but sadly, we can't have the answers to everything. We simply wish all future applicants the best of luck. And that is all the time we have for today. Did you learn anything from this video? Are you a farmer? And if so, do you think this announcement is going to affect you? What do you think about the job the recent RIC members have done so far? Any other related news you'd like to hear us cover? Be sure to let us know down in the comments below, and until next time, thanks for watching.